Welcome to Dharma Today. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where in the world you're listening from. Your presence strengthens this community of seekers walking the path, step by step, moment by moment. Now settle in, slow your breath, and let's begin a journey into a Buddha most people have never encountered. A Buddha before the legends, before the statues, before the cultural additions, the commentaries, the centuries of interpretation. A Buddha found only in the oldest Buddhist texts, raw, unfiltered, startlingly different, and profoundly human. The Buddha history forgot. There are two Buddhas in the world. The one you picture, calm, glowing, peaceful, almost superhuman. And then there is the historical Buddha described in the earliest Pali suttas, sharp-minded, precise, confrontational when needed, relentlessly focused on liberation, and shockingly uninterested in building a religion. This early Buddha did not care about rituals. He dismissed blind faith. He challenged kings, priests, wanderers, philosophers. He cut through illusions with the accuracy of a surgeon. This Buddha did not ask you to believe. He asked you to look, to examine your mind the way a fire examines wood, stripping away everything that does not endure. Most people never meet this Buddha because he was buried under 2,500 years of culture, symbolism, and myth. But tonight you will. A teacher of radical simplicity. The ancient Buddha was simple, brutally simple. He didn't talk about chakras, energy bodies, mystical powers, or cosmic destiny. He didn't promise wealth, love, or success. He offered one thing, a way out of suffering, through understanding. Not worship, not ceremony, not obedience, but insight. He spoke of dukkha, the quiet ache woven through every part of life, the small disappointments, the subtle fears, the clinging we hide even from ourselves. To the early Buddhists, the Buddha was a physician of the mind, diagnosing the illness, revealing the cause, prescribing the cure. He wasn't a god. He wasn't a savior. He was a guide showing you how to walk the path yourself. And that is the Buddha the oldest scriptures reveal. The Buddha who rejected blind faith. In the earliest texts, the Buddha says, "Do not believe something because it is repeated. Do not believe something because it is written. Do not believe something because a teacher speaks it. Instead, know for yourself." Imagine how shocking this was 2,600 years ago. A spiritual teacher telling you not to trust him blindly, not to trust anyone blindly. In a world ruled by priests and rituals, the Buddha told ordinary people, your mind is your authority. Your experience is your scripture. Your freedom is your responsibility. This is not the Buddha of superstition. This is the Buddha of radical self-honesty. The forgotten grit of the early Buddha. The Buddha we know today feels soft, gentle, peaceful, endlessly compassionate. But the early texts show a man forged in fire. A man who sat through terror in the forest, who faced hallucinations, storms, demons of the mind. A man who disciplined himself with the focus of a warrior. He once said, "Like a strong wind does not shake a mountain, so praise and blame do not shake the wise." This is not poetic comfort. This is psychological mastery. He didn't teach positive thinking, he taught non-reaction. He didn't teach self-esteem, he taught self-transcendence. He didn't teach to feel good, he taught to see clearly, even when what you see is uncomfortable. Liberation, not lifestyle. Modern spirituality turned Buddhism into relaxation, manifesting, aesthetic rituals, feel-good quotes. But the oldest texts reveal something far more demanding. Personal liberation through direct insight into the nature of mind. No shortcuts. No rituals. No saviors. Just seeing reality so clearly that suffering collapses. In the oldest suttas, meditation isn't for calm, it's for dismantling illusion. Mindfulness isn't for stress relief, it's for seeing how craving creates suffering. Compassion isn't for being nice, it's for letting go of the illusion of a separate self. The early Buddha didn't want followers. He wanted awakened beings. The Buddha's most dangerous idea. The earliest scriptures hide one idea modern Buddhism rarely mentions. The Buddha didn't want to be worshipped. He warned disciples not to turn him into a god, not to turn his teachings into dogma, not to rely on him. He told them, "Be a lamp unto yourselves." He knew that the moment people put him on a pedestal, they would stop doing the real work. They would admire him instead of awaken with him. The original Buddha was not a figure to pray to, but a mirror forcing you to confront your own mind. The path few dare to walk. The early Buddhist path was not comfortable. It was not easy. It was not popular. It asked for letting go of ego, letting go of craving, letting go of habits that feel like home, letting go of the idea of me. But it also offered something nothing else could: the end of suffering at its root. Not temporary happiness, not emotional relief, not spiritual inspiration, complete freedom. This was the promise of the historical Buddha, a Buddha more intense, more disciplined, more human, and far more transformative. The ancient teachings most people never hear. The Buddha who spoke in shockingly simple language. When you read the oldest Buddhist texts, something stands out immediately. The Buddha used simple, razor-clear language. No complex metaphysics. No endless philosophy. No poetic mysticism. He spoke like someone handing you a map. Direct, practical, precise. He explained suffering like a mechanic explains an engine. He explained the mind like a physician explains illness. He explained awakening like someone describing exactly where the door is and exactly how to open it. The later centuries added poetry, commentary, myth, and symbol. But the early Buddha? He wanted clarity, nothing else. He once said, "I teach one thing and one thing only, suffering and the end of suffering." Imagine a spiritual teacher today saying that. No angels, no destiny, no cosmic energy. Just, here's the problem. Here's the cause. Here is the cure. This is the Buddha the world rarely meets. The surprising toughness of early meditation. If you think meditation is supposed to be relaxing, the oldest texts may shock you. Early meditation wasn't about feeling calm. It wasn't about comfort or softness. It was about courage. The courage to sit still and face your own mind without running from anything that appears. Fear? Watch it. Desire? Watch it. Sadness? Watch it. Memory? Watch it. The early Buddha taught meditation like a warrior teaches stillness. Sit like a mountain. Let the winds blow. Let the storms come. Do not move. This was not a relaxation technique. This was training for awakening. The Buddha's war on delusion. In the earliest texts, there is one enemy the Buddha fights again and again. Delusion. Misunderstanding. Misseeing reality. He says this delusion is the root of every suffering we experience. We suffer because we think things are permanent when they are impermanent. We grasp at what cannot stay. We cling to what cannot satisfy. We identify with what is constantly changing. The Buddha calls this the ignorance that turns the wheel of suffering. And the moment we see clearly, the wheel stops. No gods, no rituals, no divine intervention. Just clarity, like waking up from a long dream. The Buddha who challenged everyone. The earliest scriptures show a Buddha who debated priests, kings, yogis, skeptics, and entire schools of philosophy. And he didn't debate to win. He debated to free people from illusions. A wandering teacher once said to him, "Your teachings are strange. They go against everything people believe." And the Buddha replied, "If everything people believed led to freedom, there would be no need for a Buddha." He was not afraid to challenge traditions. He was not afraid to confront false views. He was not afraid to break the comfort of the world. The historical Buddha was a revolutionary, not in politics, but in consciousness. The radical honesty of early Buddhism. In the oldest texts, the Buddha warns, "Do not lie to yourself. Lying to yourself is worse than lying to others." This is one of the harshest, most direct lines in all of Buddhism, because the Buddha understood something modern psychology now confirms. Self-deception is the engine of suffering. We pretend we're fine. We pretend we're certain. We pretend we're in control. We pretend our emotions are truth. The Buddha said, "Look at the mind as it truly is, not as you wish it to be." And that moment of honesty opens the door to awakening. The forgotten power of renunciation. In modern spirituality, letting go is a soft phrase, a gentle idea, a comforting message. But in the earliest teachings, renunciation was a total transformation. Letting go meant letting go of identity, craving, attachments, beliefs, fears, ambitions, and even your story. Renunciation wasn't about losing things. It was about dropping illusions. The Buddha said, "When I let go of who I thought I was, I awakened." Not when he gained wisdom. Not when he perfected meditation. Not when he found a divine message. But when he released the illusion of self, letting go is not weakness, it is liberation. The Buddha's most misunderstood teaching, no self. If one teaching shocked ancient India, it was this: there is no permanent self inside you. Not a soul, not a fixed identity, not an inner essence that stays the same. The earliest texts show the Buddha saying, form is not self, feeling is not self, perception is not self, thought is not self, consciousness is not self. Everything changes, everything flows, everything rises and falls. Modern Buddhism often softens this idea, but the early Buddha didn't. He taught no self as a direct path to freedom. When you stop clinging to me, you stop suffering like me, and what remains is peace. Karma as the Buddha actually taught it. In the oldest texts, karma has nothing to do with fate, punishment, or cosmic justice. Karma simply means intention, action of the mind. The Buddha said, I call intention karma, meaning karma starts not with what you do, but with why you do it. Karma is not destiny. Karma is psychology. Every intention shapes the next moment. Every thought shapes the next self. Every reaction shapes the next world you experience. Karma is not the universe judging you. Karma is your mind conditioning itself. This is the original teaching, simple, profound, empowering. The original path to awakening. Chapter 16. The Buddha's meditation method almost no one practices today. Most modern meditation is relaxation, breathing, calmness, mindfulness of stress. But in the earliest scriptures, meditation had a very different purpose. To see reality so clearly that illusion collapses. Not to feel good, not to quiet the mind, not to reduce anxiety, but to see the truth. Early meditation follows 3 stages. 1. Seeing the body as it is, impermanent and not self. 2. Seeing the mind as it is, changing and not self. 3. Seeing all experience as it is, arising and passing. When this is seen deeply, craving breaks on its own. The Buddha described meditation like shining a lamp in a dark room. Suddenly, everything is visible. You don't fight your habits. You simply see them, and seeing them dissolves them. This is the original vipassana, not a technique, but a transformation. Chapter 17. The Four Noble Truths as originally taught. The modern world turns the Four Noble Truths into inspirational quotes and posters. But the ancient texts show something sharper, more demanding, more powerful. First truth. Suffering is woven through everything conditioned. Not life is suffering, but that clinging to anything impermanent creates stress, friction, pressure. Second truth. Suffering comes from craving, from wanting reality to be different than it is. Third truth. There is a way out. The moment craving ends, suffering ends. Fourth truth. The path is not belief, not rituals, not worship, but direct insight. The truths are not beliefs. They are observations. The Buddha never said, believe me. He said, see this for yourself. Chapter 18. The Noble Eightfold Path was a training program. In modern Buddhism, the Noble Eightfold Path is a list to memorize. A concept, a philosophy. But originally, it was a training system taught step by step, like a master craftsman teaching skill. 8 skills. Right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. These were not moral commandments. They were mental training. They rewired the mind. They replaced unskillful habits with clarity, compassion, and balance. The Buddha describes this path not as rules to follow, but as tools to build liberation. A complete psychological rewiring designed to free a human being from suffering. Chapter 19. The Buddha did not teach positive thinking. Modern spirituality says, think positive and good things will come. But the Buddha rejected this idea entirely. He taught, don't think positive. Don't think negative. Think clearly. Positive thinking is still delusion if it ignores reality. Negative thinking is delusion if it exaggerates reality. Only clarity leads to freedom. The Buddha said, see what is. Knowing what is, peace follows. This is why the early teachings are so psychologically cutting. They don't try to comfort you. They try to awaken you. Chapter 20. The Buddha on emotions. Feel them, don't become them. Modern culture teaches you to follow your feelings, but the earliest texts teach something far deeper. Feel emotions fully without letting them define you. The Buddha never said to suppress emotion. He never said to avoid anger, sadness, or fear. He said, a feeling arises. A feeling fades. Observe both. You do not fight emotion. You do not obey emotion. You simply watch emotion. And in watching, you become free. Early Buddhism teaches not emotional control, but emotional wisdom. Chapter 21. The Buddha's original teaching on mindfulness. Mindfulness today means enjoying the moment, noticing your breath, sipping tea with presence. But the Buddha's original word, sati, meant something far more powerful. Remembering reality accurately, noticing the body as it is, noticing the mind as it is, noticing impermanence every moment. Mindfulness was not enjoyment. It was truthfulness. A moment without mindfulness was a moment lost in delusion. This is why the Buddha said, mindfulness is the path to the deathless. Because mindfulness lets you see what never dies, the unconditioned peace free of craving. Chapter 22. The Buddha who taught deep psychological insight. Before psychology existed, before neuroscience, before cognitive science, the Buddha understood how thoughts shape identity, how habits create reality, how craving wires the brain, how perception is constructed moment by moment. He taught, with the arising of perception, the world arises. With the ceasing of perception, the world ceases. Meaning your world is not fixed. You build it each moment with your mind. This insight is the foundation of awakening. When you change the way you see, you change the world you live in. Chapter 23. The Buddha's definition of enlightenment. In the earliest texts, enlightenment is not cosmic light, not superpowers, not mystical union. It is profoundly simple. The complete ending of craving. The Buddha said enlightenment is the mind no longer pulled by desire, no longer trapped by fear, no longer clinging to identity, no longer fooled by illusions. A quiet mind, a free mind, a mind that sees clearly. This is not supernatural. It is psychological clarity perfected, and it is available to anyone. The forgotten stories and the fierce compassion of the historical Buddha. Chapter 24. The Buddha who spoke in parables sharper than knives. The oldest Buddhist texts contain parables almost no modern audience hears. They are blunt, raw, and surgical, meant to wake you up, not comfort you. One day a monk asked the Buddha, why don't you teach more philosophy, more metaphysics, more explanations of the universe? The Buddha held up a handful of leaves and said, in the forest, there are countless leaves. In my hand, only a few. What I teach is only what leads to liberation. The rest does not matter. He refused to waste time on anything that didn't dismantle suffering at its root. Chapter 25. The parable of the poisoned arrow, rarely told correctly. A man is struck by a poisoned arrow. Instead of removing it, he starts asking questions. Who shot it? Why did they shoot it? What caste were they? What wood is the arrow made of? What kind of poison is it? The Buddha said, before he learns the answers, he will die. This was the Buddha's message. Stop searching for cosmic explanations. Start removing the causes of suffering. This teaching is radical even now. It pulls you out of speculation and drops you into the immediacy of liberation. Chapter 26. The Buddha's silence, one of his most powerful teachings. In the oldest suttas, the Buddha often responds with silence. Not because he didn't know, but because some questions come from confusion and silence is the only honest answer. When asked, is the universe eternal? Does the self exist after death? Is the Buddha divine? Is there a cosmic ruler? He stayed silent. He said answering these would not liberate anyone. They would only create more confusion. Silence was his compassion, freeing people from the prison of useless speculation. Chapter 27. The Buddha who challenged his students directly. The historical Buddha wasn't soft. He was compassionate, but his compassion was fierce, cutting through illusions like a blade through fog. When a monk bragged about spiritual powers, the Buddha said, better than miracles is conquering your own mind. When a monk was afraid of meditating in the forest, the Buddha told him to meditate in the very place of his fear. When a monk asked how to find peace, the Buddha said, let go of the world. Not later, not after years of practice. Now, this straightforward tone is almost completely missing in modern presentations of Buddhism. Chapter 28. The story of Kisa Gautami, the Buddha's direct compassion. A young mother named Kisagatami lost her child and could not accept it. She begged the Buddha to bring the child back. The Buddha did not give her comforting words. He did not say, "Your child is in a better place." He did not offer spiritual metaphors. He said, "Find a mustard seed from a house that has never known death. Bring it to me, and I will help you." She went house to house. Every family said the same. "We can give you mustard seed, but there has been death in this house." By nightfall, she realized what the Buddha wanted her to see. Suffering is universal. Loss is universal. Death touches every home. This insight released her grief more deeply than any comforting words could. This is the early Buddha's compassion, not comforting illusions, but transforming truth. Chapter 29. The Buddha's hardest teaching. Everything you love will change. In the earliest texts, the Buddha says, "Whatever is loved will become otherwise," not as a threat, not as pessimism, but as a reminder that clinging creates suffering. Everything you love changes. Everything you fear changes. Everything you are changes. This was not meant to depress you. It was meant to free you. Because when you stop fighting change, you stop suffering. The Buddha taught,